Hey folks, this is Chad at Apsona. I wanted to talk a little bit today about files and how to delete them in a mass manner, which is pretty hard to do. And the file data model is also pretty complicated, so I thought I'd record a video to talk a little bit more about it. So we're going to start at an opportunity record. We can see the related list here, and we can see that this opportunity has a file related to it. For those of you familiar with our document and email merge tool, you can create a document. Here's the preview of this document, very basic. You can, generate a document with merge fields using Apsona, and then as one of your options, when you create the merge document for, let's say, multiple opportunities at once, you can alternatively relate them to the opportunity as a file, as kind of an archive. So that's what we have here. But some folks have asked, hey, I created a bunch, but I actually need to delete those, and I'm not sure how. So we're going to talk through some of the options here. Obviously, you can delete this one by one if you go to right here and hit delete, but that's not what we're talking about. We need to find a bunch and delete them all at once. One of the reasons why it's difficult to find and delete files is that their data model is very complex. This is an article, I'll put the link in the description, that is a good kind of plain English description of Salesforce files. And I want to highlight this ERD right here that helps us to talk through why it's complicated. So a file in Salesforce is actually not a file, it's a content document. So this box right here represents kind of the main object for a file. It's called content document. Sometimes Salesforce does show the term files, but when you get really into the back end, you start typing file and you're not going to see it. You're going to see content document. But the content document is never directly related to the object that you're looking at in Salesforce, which is up here. There is a joining object called content document link. And that's because a content document or a file can be related to multiple records at once, and it needs an in-between object to manage all those relationships. So the real object that's related to your account or opportunity or whatever is a content document link. So that just kind of adds to the complexity. There's also a content version record that's related that manages when you edit a file, it doesn't get rid of the old one and replace it. It actually adds a new version. So it's just a really complex data model. And we're going to do our best to unpack it in the context of deleting records. So we've talked about the structure. We've talked about how it's related here. A couple small things that we're going to just need to know of for our testing is this URL always houses the record ID of the record you're looking at. So currently we're on an opportunity record, and this is the ID right in this URL. When I click on this file, I get a preview, but I'm really not looking at the file record yet. I'm still looking at the opportunity. If I want to look at the file itself, I'm going to hit View File Details. That's going to change this to, hey, content document. Doesn't say file. And here's the actual ID for the file. So we're going to reference back to this ID just to make sure we've found the right one. You'll also note that this file is currently related or shared with a user record, my record, me being the owner, and an opportunity record, and it could be related to other records as well. So this is where that content document link comes in. So those multiple links that we see here are actually content document links. Okay, now let's go to Apsona. Let's just kind of come in as if we were just coming into Apsona. So if you want to find a set of files, where you're going to look is in this more category. Get rid of that here. More is where the objects are housed that aren't on your little bar up here. And so rather than typing in files, which is going to give us nothing, profile, we're going to type in content. And we see content document link, and content version. We're going to focus on content document link, and I'm going to go to a report. And I have a test report that works, but I'm going to try to create one for the video. We'll say test 2. Okay, so we are on content document. That is the main object. But as many of you know in Apsona, when you come into an object's reporting tab here, you get access to related records. You get access to all the child records, which are indicated with a star here. and all of the parent records which don't have a star. So we can see that there's a document link that is a child to the document, the content document. And if we scroll through the fields, you'll see we have an ID field, which we do need because that's our ultimate goal is to get a list of IDs. But as we scroll through here, there's not a lot of other relationship fields. There's no lookup fields that we have access to. You don't see a lookup to the opportunity or account or anything like that. So to get that connection, we're going to come down here to document link, and you can see linked entity. Linked entity is kind of a generic lookup that is going to go to whatever object the file is linked to. So in our case, it's going to be a user and an opportunity. Now, what I was tempted to do as I was testing this is filter my report by that content document link. What I wanted to say is, oh, let's find the file that we were looking for based on the opportunity's name. So linked entity is among, and then I start typing in the opportunity name. But because so our opportunity name is advocate. But because files are such a complex object and they could be related to so many different objects, Apsona has to do a lot of work to create a special way uh, to show all of the different objects that these files can be related to. So currently we just have access to a count. So this won't work for us. We can't look up an opportunity record. These are all account names. That's kind of the only object that is out of the box available. But that's okay. We don't need to worry about that. What we are going to do is we're going to filter on the content document itself. So you could do this probably in a number of ways. You can look up the title name if there's a name that you can use to pare down the results. I'm going to use created date. Let me just type in created. Oh, it just says created here. So we'll say date only. Um, I'm right on the cusp of the GMT switch, and the date times have to be considered in GMT. So I'm just going to kind of give a broad range here and apply that. And let's see if we need to add anything else. So we're going to get the name of the object that the file's connected to, which will help us confirm that we found the right ones. And we're going to get the document ID, which we need to delete. So let's save and run this. Okay, let's kind of open this up here. All right. So I can see, based on my criteria of created date, I can see that I have one document that is related to this opportunity. And we're going to confirm, but I think this is the one that we were previewing here. And you'll see the ID here on the left, ending in IAAT, and you see it twice. And that's because we have two connections in this linked entity. We have one to the user and one to the object itself. And you'll see this is a different content document that was created in the same time related to a different opportunity and a user. So let's take this IAAT, let's go back over here and let's compare. And indeed, we see the ID up here, IAAT. So we know we found the right one. I also wanted to highlight that I tried a test where I started at the content document link object as a reporting starting point to try to use that link to say like, hey, show me things that were related to this record or that record. One of the things that I learned here is that Salesforce requires some specific filtering, I guess, when you are trying to identify content document link records, and it requires you to filter by a single ID on content document or linked entity ID. So I could say, show me the content documents where the document ID is X, but the whole point of us doing this exercise is to find the IDs of the documents and a whole bunch of them. So this approach wasn't useful here. So we had to start from the content document object itself. Okay, so the filter that you're going to choose is going to be different based on how, which subset of files you're trying to find. But once you get that filter going and it's working for you, you can kind of prove by looking at the ID and looking at the linked entity. So now I've got my ID list, and from here on out, it's fairly standard practice. Um, I'm not going to go into too many details about how to mass delete records, but one thing you can do here is you can export this to a CSV in order to get these IDs. I guess I'll do that really quickly since it doesn't take long and at least take you to that point in the deletion process. So let me pull this result here. So this is the report we just ran. You can see that these are duplicated and I really only need one version of it. So I'm just going to do a really quick remove duplicates here. And I believe that's in data. I'm going to remove duplicates based on column A, the ID. I'm going to hit OK, and that gets us down to a unique list of IDs. Now I'm going to copy these two, hit copy, go to Apsona. Now I'm going to go to the content document all records tab. Okay, here we are. It's showing a bunch of them. I'm going to say filter content document ID is among, and I'm going to paste the IDs that I just got out of my spreadsheet to find them. And here they are. These are the two. I really only need to delete this one, so I'm going to check that. I could leave them both unchecked and come here, delete all, but I'm just going to check this one. Tools, delete checked, and it's going to delete it. So if you were doing this on a larger scale, you get a bunch of IDs, you'd put them in this among filter, and you would find them, select them, and delete them. And just to kind of follow through here, if I were to refresh this, I should get an error saying that they can't find the record. Furthermore, get out of that. If I go to my recycle bin, go, we should see it here. And there it is, content document. And I'm just going to restore it so we can get it back. And I'll go to it. And there we go, we're back. Let's see, it looks like we may have lost some of the relationships. That's interesting. Nope, nope, they're back. Okay, so then I can go back to the opportunity. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. I think the big change that you'll have to think about is how you want to filter your content document report. I did it on create a date. You may find other ways to do it. Okay, thanks all. Bye-bye.